Good morning.
We'll give folks a few minutes to join. Yesterday was MADCA's Advocacy Day at the State House. They had a great attendance and great lineup. Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, Senate President Karen Spilka, Representative Leader Alice Peisch, the new Education Chair Ken Gordon, Senator Salvi Domenico. It was incredible, but I have to share with the 9:30 callers, as I was walking into the State House, I met Representative Sean Reed, who joined us on Monday for the first year tour, and he if you remember, told us on Monday that he was having his drop off with his 5-month-old child, his baby, on Tuesday. So I saw him and I said, "How'd drop off go?" And he said, "quote, it was heartbreaking." And he showed me a picture of that the child care provider had sent to him. And his baby looked fine. But it was incredible to have had him on the call and then see him as I was walking in the state house. So that was good news. Good news for a smooth transition. So we're so excited to have this incredible team with us today. So Arjun, I'll turn things over to you. Our first question for all 9:30 callers is for you to tell us a little bit about you, how you came to be in your current role, and then we know you have a panel of speakers, and many of them are return callers to the 9:30 call, but we'd love to hear a little bit about you.
Great, great. Well, so good to be here, and thank you for having us, Amy. So I'm Arjun Shah. I am the Preschool Development Grant Project Manager at EEC. I'm actually fairly new to the early education world. A few years back, I got my master's in public policy, was working in a nonprofit K-12 consulting firm on finance and human capital questions. Moved over to EEC about a year and a half ago, and since then have dove straight in, took point on a few different projects that have come through this forum. The street initiative, the trauma work that we did a few weeks back, the mentor training that our Holyoke partners have developed and shared a few weeks back as well. And a quick plug for tomorrow, where we've also conducted an early childhood needs assessment as EEC, and that will be shared at tomorrow's EEC Advisory Council. So the biggest thing I've been working on has been the apprenticeship supports. And even though I am fairly new, I'm surrounded by a incredible team of dedicated, passionate people who have been in the early education field for a long time. Just to name names quickly, we have Liz Sheehan Castro, Leslie Baker, Luz Nunez, Belmari Cruz, Melinda Weber, Jana Jock, Rosemary Hernandez, Sarah Cian, Jamie Vaudry, Ellen Grandin, Jeanette Montoya, and I probably forgot. Oh, Sarah Volkanot. I think that's it. So a great team to be surrounded by for this work, and you'll get to hear from us, a few of them later in a
You
bit.
are indeed in good hands, but we want to know
Yeah.
more about you. So what'd you do before you came to the department?
Oh, so I was working at sorry, I was working in at a firm called Education Resource Strategies, which is a K-12 nonprofit consulting firm, which
Great.
works on finance and human capital questions. And so human capital certainly comes up in
Sure.
this role. So let me share a screen and walk us through our presentation today. Oh, I
I know
am.
you need, I have to figure out where the things go. Participants. That's very strange. My host tools. There we go. Sorry about that.
Go.
It's great to see 90s folks, 96 folks joining us this morning. So
And then let me get the slideshow going.
this is the hardest part. You did it.
Yes. All right. So we're here today to talk about a project called FCC Foundations. This is a collaboration between EEC, United Way of Mass Bay, Family Services of Central Mass, and SEIU's Education Support Fund. There's really two goals today. One is to just have you all learn about the project, but this is also a moment where we are about to go out and recruit for our first cohort. We'll talk about what the details of that first cohort look like, but want to give you first a sense of what we're really trying to accomplish with this work. So this all really started with the question of how do we bring apprenticeship to FCCs? Apprenticeship has been a very exciting model for professional development for us, and it's really come about in the last few years, but particularly in center-based programs. We also have one OST program, which is wonderful. These programs combine a few very promising and meaningful components. One is they provide training. You couple that training with mentorship. This is all very goal-oriented. So there tends to be a common entry and exit point where people are leaving with a certain credential, role, certification. And I think most importantly, this is all happening while people are working in the field, which is important for two reasons. You get to earn while you learn. That's a great catchphrase for us. And you also benefit from being able to apply the learning that you are doing in your training into the classroom and in your work with children. For FCCs, this could be a particularly meaningful opportunity. One, because we have heard a desire for more peer support, opportunities to connect with other educators in the field and use that network really to people's benefit. And because we have heard desire for more training opportunities to be available. And so this really felt like an opportunity to see, well, what can we do for FCCs when it comes to this apprenticeship-like model? We ended up partnering with 3 organizations, and you'll get a chance to hear from all 3 of them in a bit, to really get this work off the ground and make this work accessible across the state. We're working with all 3 of these folks, particularly because they have had great success working in the FCC space for a long time now. And we really wanted to pilot an approach that brought this support across the entire state and see what that really could look like at this very early stage. Sorry, and just to say, we're going to refer to these organizations as FCC intermediaries. That's the role that they're filling in this work. Intermediaries, just to define what they do, really are the glue that makes a system of training and mentorship really work for FCCs. That's because they really do 3 big things. One is in the design, that they make sure that there are high quality pathway programs that meet the needs of FCCs. This is really where the training component comes in. Second is, and this part should not be understated, it's a very big lift, is building a network of FCCs who are going to participate in programs and building a network of FCC educators who are serving as mentors to support those participants. That is a big logistical and network related challenge that these organizations are positioning themselves to do broad outreach around and really get people participating. And finally, they implement the programs. They organize folks into regional cohorts, they provide the training, and then this part, again, can't be understated. They support and monitor that relationship of the mentor and mentee and their successful completion of that training and meeting the learning goals throughout the entire course of that participant's experience. And so, as I describe the role that the FCC intermediaries fill, I hope you see that there are pretty exciting possibilities of what we can do inside the structure. And we have, I think, through the end of 2026 to do a lot of this work. And we're exploring opportunities to do them. We'll talk about where we're starting in a second. But you could imagine a program that supports educators in getting licensed, pairing potential FCC educators with experienced FCC educators who can get them through that licensing process and get them to launch their business. You could imagine a program that supports uh, FCCs in learning skills of mentorship and pairing them with a newer entrant into the field who wants that mentorship and really can train them and we can train them on the skills of mentorship and support them in that practice. You could imagine programs where the focus is really on the business administration side, because of course our FCCs are not just educators, but they're also business owners. And that's a skill in itself. And then finally, and this is down the line, you could imagine programs focused on getting FCC educators credentialed, where new trainings that may come up through the educator credentialing system as that launches would be available through the structure and would provide support to educators through the mentorship that comes with it. We are starting with the licensing piece. So I will pass it to Liz to talk through how we're getting started on launching programs to support potential educators getting through the licensing process and launching their business.
Great. Thanks, Arjun. Morning, everyone. Lovely to see so many folks. So the FCC Foundations for Fundamentals for Licensing is the program, like Arjun said, that we are working to launch this spring. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that with an overview that, like this says, will build your understanding of the program and hopefully support folks that want to get involved in whatever way or want to help spread the word to be able to do so. Caveat, we are still working out a lot of the finer details of our implementation. So if those questions come up for you, feel free to ask them in the chat, but just know the finer details are still under construction, if you will. So we are hoping to be able to support folks who want to come into the field of family child care to go through the licensing process with training, with coaching, mentorship, as well as materials and support. So we will be launching 3 cohorts starting in May. Family Services will be launching a cohort in Portuguese, and the SEIU Education and Support Fund, as well as United Way, will be each launching a cohort in Spanish. So participants that go through the application process and are selected to join a cohort will have 20 hours of free biweekly training that will happen all virtually between May and September. They will have one-on-one mentorship, so they'll each be assigned an FCC educator who's really experienced, who has gone through training, and will be their coach, their mentor through this licensing process. And then there'll also be material support. Participants will get a laptop and a printer up front, and then $500 worth of materials upon completion. Yeah. Sorry, I was going to go into more details, but go ahead. In terms of expectations, so in order to get through this program, it is in some senses, it's a really big time commitment, but there's also a lot of support provided. But we really need folks that can commit from beginning to end, that can attend all the training sessions, that can meet with their mentor, and really have the ability to get licensed and then open their program. And so the hope is that folks who go through this program will have opened their FCC program within 3 months of completing it. And we really think we'll be supporting them in all of the ways where that's very attainable. And then in terms of the mentor role, so I think we're all really excited about this, and all of our organizations have worked with FCCs as mentors in some aspect. And so we know this is super critical for the program. And the mentors will go through some training preparation. They will meet biweekly with their mentee. They'll be really aware of everything happening in the training and all of the steps that they have to go to for licensing. So they'll be able to really support them and coach them through that process, and also be able to be someone who has run a program and can answer those questions of what is it really like to get into this field. Mentors, of course, will be compensated. It'll be $2,600 for a mentor over the course of the program, and that includes the training that they'll have to undergo, the meetings with their mentee, as well as needing to do some administration to really record what they're doing with their mentee to be able to report it back to the organizations and that type of work. There will be an opportunity for mentors to work with more than one mentee. And so there would be some additional compensation for that additional mentee, which would be about $1,000 for the additional mentee. So I think I saw in the chat how do folks become a mentor? So the 3 organizations will be recruiting mentors. Some of us already have worked with mentors, and we'll start with those folks that we already know, and then we'll do some additional recruitment to fill in spaces. And so we are working on our process now for what that will look like, but we will be sharing information out about how to apply, what are the qualifications to be a mentor, and we'll be sharing that broadly. I see a question, is the training for the mentor the same as Together We Grow? The training for this will be very specific to the pre-licensing process. And so it won't be we've done a mentor training titled Together We Grow. HCC has a mentor training. So it won't be those larger mentor trainings that are required for this specific piece. It will be something more tailored to the program itself, especially around the tasks that a mentor would be doing to coach someone through pre-licensing and the licensing process. Right.
Good morning. I think this is my slide. Yes, Liz?
I think so. That's what I was just about to check. Yeah.
Yes. All right. We're tag teaming a little bit. Thank you so much. Really nice to see you. What are participants going to be trained on? I think first and foremost, they're going to be figuring out how to remove isolation from the get-go from this work. We know how important that is. They're going to figure out from the get-go how to build a network of peers, really critical. They're going to be learning how to navigate EEC regulations. They're going to be learning how to set up safe and engaging environments for learning. They're going to be learning how to engage with parents, right? They'll be setting up, putting together a parent handbook with policies that are meant to engage. And they're going to be learning solid business and administrative practices. It won't be, the huge focus of this phase 1 licensing support curriculum because they'll have an opportunity to dive deeper into many of these topics as time goes on. But they'll start with a solid understanding of those practices. And they'll be learning some basic computer skills. We're planning a day 1 in-person meet and greet and tech time where they'll be learning computer skills, basic computer skills. And they're also gonna, learn how to build those trusting relationships with their mentors and find resources that are available to them. So there'll be a plethora of support. We know that there is incredible interest in this. And we also know that there's, obviously incredible need in communities. So we're really excited about getting people through the program.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you here, and thank you to Strategies for inviting us to share more about this opportunity. I'm here to clean up with some of the nuts and bolts. Our project timeline, as you see laid out here, is to have our first cohort start towards the end of May, and then they will be completed in October. As you can see, we have an application process. We will be interviewing and selecting participants, and we will also be doing the same for mentors and then training the mentors as we prepare to launch the program itself. Applicants are expected to actively apply for their license during the 5th week of training. And we hope that by the end of the opportunity, they will have secured their license and be able to open their business. We'll share exact dates once they're available. So why are we here? This is our call to action. We are seeking more program participants. This is our first cohort, and we had a great response to our interest reach out to people for the first cohort, but we anticipate multiple cohorts beginning after this as well. And we are looking for mentors, experienced educators who are qualified and that can commit to this program to help guide lesser experienced people through the process. So if you know anybody that is interested or an organization that would support with either of these, please share the QR code and we will make sure that you get the link in the chat as well. And if you care to share your email, if that's easier, we can reach out with links to the application forms for either educators to participate or for mentors. And at this point, we'd like to turn it back to Arjun and open up for questions.
Yes, and as we do that, I'm just going to drop that link in the chat. It is the world's fastest survey, but it is a way to get your email addresses so that we can reach out to you when we start opening up application dates, so that you can spread this, whether you individually know of people or you want to spread this to other organizations that you're working with. As a reminder, we are doing Spanish and Portuguese cohorts to start. There will be future opportunities, but at this stage, that's the capacity that we have to get 3 cohorts off the ground.
There were a bunch of questions in the chat. Some got responses. And just,
Okay.
Arjun, you'll send the slides to me and we can post it in our follow-up folders.
Okay.
If you want to save the chat, everybody should be able to go to the chat and there are 3 dots up and it should say save chat. I think that everybody can save chat. I've gotten a request for that. How do you become a mentor?
Yes. So the mentor role for this training largely comes down to being someone who's an experienced FCC educator who can speak the languages and has close proximity to the other mentees. And that's a pairing problem that we'll have to figure out, but we encourage people to apply if they're interested. And someone who takes part in that training that we are offering around the very concrete skills that mentors will be supporting their mentees in through the pre-licensing process. So we expect that there will be a fair amount of interest in this. We unfortunately can't take everyone, but we do encourage people that would like to serve in this role to apply, because that starts building a list for us to draw on for future opportunities as well. And if you do have mentors in mind or would like to serve as a mentor, fill out that quick survey so we can reach out to you when the applications open up.
And then is the credential stackable? Is the training affiliated with college credit?
In this case, we are focusing the training primarily around getting the skills and going through the process to launch a business. So this is not folding into anything else that may count for college credit or maybe part of the future credentialing system. This is part of a very practical set of skills that FCC educators who want to launch their business really need to develop.
And then I got a question. In Massachusetts, to be a licensed family child care provider, what level of training in early education is required?
Is Jeanette here? Jeanette, do you answer that question? I don't see Jeanette. I don't see her.
Or Jana doesn't even know. What do you need to be an FCC licensed program? Yeah.
I can give my informal answer to this, which is,
Okay.
I was unmuted. Go ahead.
okay. Yeah, good. No, go ahead, Gina.
Well, in Massachusetts, you really need to, the requirements are you have to be a parent, and you have to have proof, experience working with children, and you have to have enough space. It's all part of the regulations. You have to have enough space. You have to have proof, um, experience working with children. And also, you have to be able to pass your quarry, sorry, and fingerprint. Everybody who's 15 years and older in your home will be going through the BLC process, the quarry
So
process,
the background check.
the
Great.
background check. So these
Thanks,
are
Jane.
and because landlord is are not so aware of the win-win of
Right.
people opening business in their home, we encourage family child care educator to really ask their landlord or, can
Sure.
I open a business in my home, and then get a letter just in case. So these are the things, the primary things that we really focus on when that's needed to open a family child care.
Thanks, Jana. And then there was a question, do you have this presentation in other languages? Harold and Paula are offering to kind of circulate it with educators in their community.
So we don't have this particular one in other languages. We're planning to run info sessions in English, Spanish, and Portuguese once applications open, and our application forms are translated into those languages as well. So if you add your email, we'll send you those links to the application form in the Spanish and Portuguese options and dates for those info sessions when they're live.
Great. And thank you, Leslie. Put that in the chat. Then there was a question about whether this is whether it's connected type. And Liz answered it. Can you clarify whether this is intended to be akin to other apprenticeships and
Yeah,
eventually registered with EOLWD?
yeah.
And then
Liz answered it right, but short answer here is we are inspired by apprenticeship, but there are structural barriers to becoming a registered apprenticeship program in Massachusetts for FCCs. Um, while we can continue pushing on that somewhat sturdy wall, I think what's most important is for us to get something that takes the best parts of apprenticeship, which is training combined with mentorship, combined with a pretty set goal, and get that out to the field. So that's what we're trying to do here.
great. Let me see if something else came in. Okay, Brian says very exciting. Thank you to the partners, what should be an impactful program. Given limited capacity, if the pilot is successful, what would be needed for future expansion and scaling? And then Sarah mentioned that. Is it just funding or other capacity, recruiting, translation services?
Yeah, I think Sarah nailed it, and this is part of what we're trying to understand here is what it takes to scale and keep some of this going in the long term. As I said, this work is going through the end of 2026, and we're really framing it as a pilot. Funding, people seeing this model and buying into this model, which is a vehicle for more funding, will I think really be the biggest thing that contributes. We are funding an evaluation of apprenticeship studies. That scope of work is out right now, and part of that is to really understand how is this working, and make a case for continued funding and expansion for this work in the future.
Well, thank you so much to you and the team, and folks can keep the appreciation coming in chat. There's a lot of it coming. And then if folks have if you want to be in touch, you can either email me or drop your email into chat, and we will send the full chat to everyone who presented today. So they'll have it. And then I think we would also love to offer this presentation to come to our 9:30 call in Spanish, which happens once a month. We can follow up with you about that. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see everyone tomorrow. We're going to hear from folks from the Commonwealth Corporation. I have an updated description that we'll send out today, as well as the registration form for our 5th year anniversary live from Worcester from the 9:30 call. Okay, have a great day. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.